What's up guys, Flo here. Today we're going to be making the Astra mains guide to Haven. Yes, I know you might have already seen a previous version of it, but that was the old one, and now that Astra has 4 stars, I decided to make an updated version that discusses how you should be playing around those current 4 stars in today's meta. As always, this is a comprehensive guide that covers everything, not just star setup, defaults, but also how you should think and play around your teammates. This entire guide was recorded live on stream, so if you ever want to check it out while I am doing it and ask any questions, swing by the stream. Links are in the description below. I don't want to hold you for too long, so let's get on to the video. Alright, let's talk by prefacing why you would play Astra on this map. If you played Omen on this map or Brimstone and you play Astra as if you are playing Omen or Brimstone, you are not going to have fun on this map. And I mean that as in you're not going to win your game. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because Astra doesn't excel in anything that Brimstone or Omen has. And that's specifically because she doesn't have as good as a hard stall as the other two. Because with the flash, you can't run. With the pole, you still have Jets dashing out, and the pole doesn't last as long as a molly, nor is as threatening as a molly. So that's why. So let's talk about why exactly that doesn't work. So Brimstone or Omen, which is the meta pick, specifically Omen, you play maybe towards C long, you flash down this lane, and you get all these kills. These flash sets up very well. But in terms of Astra, she only can put 2 stars. She'll put like 1 smoke, 1 pole, and this seems like pretty solid, right? But you have 2 other sites you need to worry about. And if you're wondering how many areas you need to worry about, think about how A site has short and long, B site has front B, and then you have garage that you technically had to worry about. On top of the fact that I've already put 2 stars towards C. So you're gonna notice that's a lot of angles to really need to cover if you're trying to defend Haven in general. So how do we do it? Wait, before we continue, have you heard of Gosu Academy? If you want to be the best at Valorant, there's no better place to go. And let me kind of explain why. There's generally no shortcut in getting good. It requires dedication, hard work, and sometimes a really great coach. That's where Gosu Academy comes in. Gosu Academy gives you month-long access to professional tier coaches, where you'll have access to master classes, coach reviewed demos, Q&As, lectures, and even play 10-mans with other people in your skill level. The best part about these 10-mans is that after, you'll have a professional coach that was watching the entire time, review and give you critiques on what you could have done better. So if you have any questions, they will get answered. Oh wait, did I happen to mention that even their most basic package is for 30 days? And I know what you might be thinking. This must be really expensive, right? Wrong. I'm gonna help you out here. If you use code FLOW at checkout, you can get a 30-day trial for only 50 cents. For 50 cents, not only do you get access to everything I mentioned before, but you also get to play with other people like-minded just like you. And with this, you have all the staff that you need to accelerate your growth to Radiant. Plus, you'd be supporting the channel. Thanks to Gosu Academy for sponsoring this video. Links are in the description, but let's head back onto the video. So if you're trying to play Astra efficiently, you're going to usually want to take a lobby control. Now, how you do that is you just smoke out the deep, and normally you would want like a pull. That way you smoke out the deep angle and then you pull. And lastly, the cherry on top would be asking a Sova to dart long. And then this area is pretty much yours right off the bat. There's not much they can really do against this. This is because your star is unbreakable, and then the pull, unless they want to push through this while getting darted, while you and somebody else, or like your Sova or Jet or Reyna, whatever you have, scales up. You guys want to take this area or at least sit outside of it. Why? Is because this eliminates 2 angles that you no longer need to worry about. You remember those 2 where I said you need to worry about short and long? By getting somebody up here or in lobby, you now don't need to worry about any of this, and now your star management can be more evenly split between the other sites. Now, B side is usually played as retake, so that kind of works out, and then C, you'll have your stars and you can do whatever you want to do there. So now the map has completely changed. You're gonna think before what we had was a pretty split even map where you have C, B, and A in a line like kind of like this, but now it's a little bit like claustrophobic for the attacking side, as they only have C long, maybe this mid and grass area, and then they have outside A by like garden. That's all they have. So now it's actually the defenders have more space than the attackers do. So with this is how you kind of want to start off the round. If you don't do this, it requires everyone getting at least 1 on your defense. You don't have much wiggle room here because you don't have much space to play with. You can't really stack properly either because you will have too many angles to watch, which is why it's very efficient to do this and then get someone posted up, and then that way you can hold more with less. Moving on, let's talk about some C site setups, because this is probably where you're going to be playing as Astra. Now, why I say C is strong for Astra is because of the jump spot. So C's jump spot allows you to kind of focus on the minimap. So if you look at my eyeballs right now, I am not even looking at the game. I'm just looking at the minimap. I can see what's going on this entire time while still keeping tabs on C. And then with 1 smoke down here, if they ever come, and then I have like probably like 1 or 2 smokes on my belt. I could keep tabs on what else is going on the map and know if I need to rotate, if I need to place stars anywhere, since map awareness is very important when you're playing Astra. But in general, in terms of a C setup, I usually recommend probably a deeper smoke. The reason is you're usually soloing C, so you really want to get 1 kill. So the reason why I like this is because you will throw your stars like this. So these would be the pull and the smoke. You smoke deep. Now what happens? They run out and they'll be immediately in a pull, versus the pull being outside and this being the smoke star. Now guess what? They can hug toward this side. If they're on the outside, they can hug toward this side. They can get out this way, and they have a lot more area to play with, even though the pull is activated. With this, because the pull literally covers the entire lane, they are stuck. They cannot get away, and they are stuck in this tiny choke point, taking a very crappy fight. If you threw the smoke up, like what I said before, and then you pull, now you swing, and there's no way for them to get up. There are other reasons why this specific smoke is good, and that's because of things like pop flashes. Specifically, I'm thinking Phoenix, because Phoenix is popular in this map. KO is also pretty popular. They click out of the smoke, but if you think about it, the smoke is so deep, if I flash, it'll just hit here and hit here, and it's not gonna blind, let's say, close sight. Close there, or actually pretty much anything besides the people peeking. So this makes their flashes significantly worse. Now, we're also gonna bring up the fact that Jet usually, if the smoke is up here, she could dash directly onto sight. That's just the distance, right? It works. With this, she doesn't actually have that great of a way to dash onto sight. She has to run out of the smoke first and then dash. So it requires her to either like commit more utility by like throwing the smoke here and then dashing out, or if she really is dumb, she could just run out of the smoke, but then she might just get shot in the side of the head. Those are things that you kind of get a benefit from by smoking a little bit deeper. The times where you would want a normal smoke like this one is if you have someone close. So if you have someone close, or you're close and then you have 2 teammates here, this makes a lot more sense. Like imagine here and here, this would be a good crossfire, because when they're pushing out, they're crossfired. Or you have a teammate that are able to peek. This is better for peeking, so we can like, oh, the smoke is up, all right, we can peek and hold this now. But if you're trying to hold across, you're probably going to want to throw the second smoke. But that's in general how you would defend the choke. But if they get past the choke, the star that you usually want to support with or have as well is this one. This one allows you to just smoke, and you can play toward backside. Now this smoke is super good, and it's really important on having any sort of good retake. So let's think about it. I am a B player. I'm not Astra. I'm just some random B player. If this smoke is not here, I have to be worried about someone swinging this side, and that means I can't really swing here because I have to be worried about this until I cross out here, and it's a lot more dangerous to watch both. If you smoke it, then guess what? If my teammate is backside, let's say, I could support really easily. I'm just gonna flood out on sight. Just gonna run out this way because I know my teammate's here. He can watch the smoke, and then I'm here, and then I can be backside. And then now all my teammates can flood out because this smoke now makes it easy for me to only need to focus on one angle. This smoke disappears, then obviously it becomes a little more awkward. Usually people want to sit back here and they want to like tuck over here. So this makes this player, which is a good spot to play if you're just trying to stall and delay, much more dangerous. This is like kind of hard to clear, especially if you have a smoke here, because they don't have a good angle at fighting you. You're just kind of like stuck here. This angle is really bad to swing from. If you think about it, the attacking side. Do I really want to come up here and look this way? No, because you're scared of this, right? Anyway, that's how you kind of hold C, and then that's how you would kind of play with this smoke. Now let's kind of talk about garage. There's not really much you want to commit toward garage, because garage is an area you can give up and you can hold from other places. If you have a teammate playing in garage, you can always smoke the door. That's probably what I recommend. Maybe even put a pull in here if you have a teammate in the window. There's not really too much you really need to worry about. All right, so now in terms of B, there's really not much in terms of defense, but there is an aggressive play you can do on the defender, which is actually pretty interesting. So what you can do is you put a star that is off center. So Astra has one of the biggest smokes in the game. I think the biggest smoke. So this will still, if I pop it, I'm gonna pull it back, it will cover the front entrance, right? But what it can also do is cover your walk up into here. So what you can do is off the beginning of the rift, a lot of the times no one actually peeks window. They're too scared, and you can cross over to like this area. Now this seems like a okay position, and usually it's more of an Omen position because of TP. You can get back into sight, but with Astra you can kind of do this, and now you're gonna see why this awkwardly placed star on the side comes into play. If you get a kill, you can always pull back your star and exit, and this doubles as a sight smoke. So like in the case you're not even playing here, you can still throw this star and you just use it as a regular smoke to block off anyone pushing B. So it's kind of like a dual purpose. You can throw this star consistently, condition the attackers to think, oh, it's just a star to like smoke front sight, but you use it as a way to kind of get out from this cubby that would normally be kind of bad. So that's a little interesting way of doing it. So in terms of A, we already went through the taking A long. In terms of like holding it normally, it should just be the 2 normal smokes. So the long one is pretty simple. Just kind of want to throw it here. You can throw it a little bit deeper and it would act similarly to how the flash works on C, where I said if you smoke deeper, then you don't have to worry about the flash. But this also does create issues, which is since this one I'm C, I'm assuming you're the one playing C. You know how to play around your util. On A, it's usually your teammates that are playing and you're supporting from somewhere else, unless you're there. But in the case that it is that it's your teammates, a lot of the time they don't know how to play around a deeper one and they don't expect them to be visible. For example, if you throw this, you know
that they would only be visible once they push out the smoke. If they throw a deeper one, you wouldn't expect them to be visible down there. So I usually go with the safer route, make sure my teammates at the very least know how to play around this default smoke, and it's pretty standard. So this one's pretty normal. The next one, short. So you have two options. First one you might be thinking of is the one right here. This one that's just cover the normal short angle. And then the second one is to smoke a little bit deeper, and then this would hold more of short. This gives you more space on A, and this is a little bit different. This can be strong if you have, like, I want to say like 2 or 3 players, probably closer to 3 players on site. And this is because you can shut down this short area. Becomes very risky for them to push because you have to think, I'm pushing out. Oh, I get a shot from here, back sight, as well as anything here. And then also I have to check this corner. So there's a lot for them to check, which is completely different than the original one, which they can like use the smoke to clear this side because the smoke is behind them. And they can clear all of this, and then they go into smoke, and then they can pop flash out. This smoke is bad. It's a big tell that someone is short, because why else would you smoke this if you don't have a player short? You would just smoke the regular one. So if you have only 2 players and can't really hold it, I would recommend just like the normal 2. Just gives them a very squared off like crossfire that they can hold, and it's just one line rather than this space where you have to hold this and then you have to hold this. This way with the 2 smokes, one person can hold both angles. So it's like a little bit different in thought process. It really depends. There is one cool thing you can do, which is similar to corner cages. You toss a star that is close, and you're gonna notice that, hey, it covers a little bit of this, and you can just sit in it. This actually does work a lot of the time because they think, usually you just assume that it's like, oh, it's just a smoke. In general, you want to be able to like pivot between 2 angles. Hell doesn't really allow you to pivot. It just kind of lets you take a fight with A long very easily, but the back sight allows you to pivot. So that kind of talks about the defense side. Let's talk about the attack side. We'll start toward A. You can use a smoke pullback star to cross long. Just drop it right at the beginning, and then you pull it back, then you can cross through. Darts I would be worried about from defenders is it early this dart or early that dart. They just shoot it there, and I would just like run through it. Sometimes I'll even take aggressive peeks if I really think that like, one, I'm feeling my aim or my teammate is gonna swing with me. I'll pull back this star and we'll just swing to the right, and they usually don't expect that fast of a peek. So there's a benefit to either. If you want to slow down, if they're pushing short a lot and you need help, your teammates need help short, pulling right there off the rip slows down their push since the barrier is right up here. By the time they get down here, that's when you can activate the star, and then it'll kill their momentum and they won't get a proper peek, because as a defender, where you want to take the peeks is around here. That's where you want to fight them. But if you put the pull there properly, you technically take the fight here, which means that they have no escape if they take a fight. Even if they win the fight, the chances of them getting out is very slim. So that kind of talks about the taking the short and the long position. After you get out here, you're usually gonna hopefully want to sova dart, or you just walk up with your teammates. You want to make sure you clear this box. You can even drop a star here in the beginning of the round to pull right off the rip, just to make sure that it's like more annoying for them to set up a crossfire between here and here. If you see someone jiggling like this and like spamming, and they're fighting a little bit too much, even though you have like maybe 2 or 3 players here, then almost guarantee there's someone behind this box. You want to think of it like this. If you as a defender, right, standing at the ping, are looking and you see 3 people here and you're still peeking, there's a reason for it, and that's because you're trying to bait. You're trying to bait for this player, so be careful of that. Next, the 2 smokes are pretty self-explanatory. A heaven and a spawn, 1 and 2. And then after you get out sight, if you really want to pull, I would just pull back sight. If you tell them that you're pulling back sight, makes it a little bit easier, but you also have to worry about the hell position, because they can like escape. They can basically, in the pull, they'll just they'll get pulled, but they'll like hug this side so they can get out of it, and then they'll swing. So that's something you have to be careful of. If you're gonna stun somewhere, I would recommend stunning this corner, or if your teammates are coming up there, otherwise it'd be here. Either way, you're gonna need some level of explosiveness to clear the site. If you have a dart that tells you there's certain angles you don't need to clear, that makes your life easier, and you can place your stars where it isn't clear. There's also a difference between 2 smokes. So the question is, do I want to smoke like this or a smoke like this? Smoking like this smokes deeper spawn. Smoking like this is like shallower, right? It gives them more space to work with. So the question is, which one would you rather do? I'm always going to recommend you do the second one, unless you specifically know your teammates are holding it. Now, the reason why I don't like this smoke right here is because, yes, it smokes out more of spawn, but a good player, what they'll do, and if you guys see it, you guys can do this too, is they'll push out and then they'll like just hug this wall. And basically with this, they don't need to worry about anything to the left side of this wall. Everything is in their peripheral vision, and they will just take the fights with the short players that are coming up, which can lose you a pick. They'll just end up getting a pick, and then they'll like cross back and they'll run away. And then that can end up like evening out, even though you got a pick on sight, something like this happens. That's why I like this one a little bit more. It's safer. And when you throw this smoke up, how do they get a pick? They have to push onto sight, which means they have to commit to possibly die. And this doesn't like give them any extra room. Basically, you would clear toward this angle anyway. So this is like uncomfortable for them. The only downside about this smoke is that they can technically flash more efficiently. Like, how would I flash this? I'd flash around the corner, like right here, or I flash around this corner. And this sets up for that better. So the times you would want this smoke, the deeper one, is if you have teammates holding it. So if I have like, maybe it's like 3v2, 4v2 or something like that. Then you have like overwhelmingly numbers, and you can just do this. And you guys have one here, and then maybe you have like one guy like right here or something like that. And that way you guys can swing off each other. That'll work. But like if you don't have overwhelming numbers, I tend to think that this is not that good because basically if they're flooding out, they'll flood out, they'll have like one person post here while the other people are scaling up and looking left and right. There's one guy just holding short, and then that way they'll kill anyone who peeks, and then the teammates will clear the site. That is how you attack A. Now let's talk about how to attack the B site. To attack the B site, be careful. First thing you want to do is if you're coming out window, hopefully you have a flash, because if no flash, it becomes very sad. Could be posted on top, posted on bottom. What I like to do sometimes is I'll just spam, since it doesn't really matter if I'm up front or not. I'll ping like this corner of the wall because that's the wall they're usually hugging, and just spam. See if I can get some free damage out there. It's really not that big of a deal, but it does make it a little bit more awkward for them to just walk out, especially since they could just get a significant amount of damage. But anyway, once you get here, the two smokes you want to worry about is obviously B link and A link. Now this barrel, okay guys, this is the bane of all our existences. Okay, don't put the star here. If I'm going to tell you, place the star on the right first over the left. Now you're gonna wonder, why does that matter? It's because when you place the first star, you know that you've signaled to the other team, hey, we're smoking, we're probably gonna take it. So you feel like you're in a time crunch. If you go left then right, you're gonna rush the second one. But if you go right then left, this one is easier to do. It's harder to mess up. After you smoke that, you're gonna decide how you want to play. If you're playing Astra, I'm gonna say generally it's better to just play post plant and not stay on site. And the reason is because you have a pole. If you have a pole, then why don't you just play off site, play with your pole? Like if you're playing in this corner, you place a star like up here, and then now it's a one-way, right? There's a one-way, they're on the spike. Taking garage, it's just smoking this, and it's not really your utility at this point. If you really want to, you can concuss this side. This is probably the best place to concuss. They can't back out of it in time. That's the thing, because the way you back out of it, if you look at the star's radius, there's no way to get out of it in time. And then going C, 2 natural smokes, 1, 2. The same issue with the smokes is, should I smoke deeper or should I smoke out here? I generally think it depends on where and how you're hitting. So if you have teammates that are already up, then smoking deeper is better. But if you don't and you're just taking sight and you're worried about getting peeked from spawn, or like you have a split, like a garage, people are running up, then you want to smoke more shallow out here so that it's the same issue as the A site one over here, where they could just shoot the people running up garage and none of the people scaling, like wrapping this side, would be able to spot this corner. So that's kind of how you want to think about it. In terms of a pull on site, if I were to recommend a few pull locations, it would be like logs, back site. This one I don't think is as good. You can, but it's like, it's not that great. And then the last one is you could do this smoke and then you pull here. So then that way it makes anyone flooding through the smoke, one, they wouldn't see it and they'll be fragile, and then when you go and swing like this way, there'll be an easy kill and you can just post for any of the retakes. So yeah, that's kind of how you would do it. You can play post plant on Astra as well. Astra is very strong with post plants because of pull. I would just recommend planting here or like here. Basically you want to plant it against the wall so it reduces the radius, since we all know the spike plants and there's a diffusal radius, right? If you plant it in the open, it has the full circle. If you plant it against the wall, then half the circle gets cut off. If you plant it in the corner, then technically there's only 1/4 of the circle left. So it makes it the smallest possible radius. So this one's a little bit scary because you can get spammed from spawn, but with the spawn smoke, usually they won't have the proper angle to try to spam you from, and hopefully you'll be okay here. So we went through the attack and the defense. Now let's talk about some ults. So in terms of ults, I would normally recommend, if you're taking C, just ult like this. It's the same issue where we were talking about, oh, what about the spawn people? And that is true. The reason why this feels a lot better is because you're still gonna have 4 stars. This technically counts as 2 smokes, right? The wall counts as 2 smokes, then you have your pull. So then you'll still have 3 stars. So use your stars more like fluidly. I'd probably put this as a pull and then like concuss back sight. This would be like a solid take. Like imagine if I did this, the wall is right here. So wall up, and then I pull this, and then I stun that as your teammates are clearing, and plus like 1 dart toward the back site, and then you have like, there's no way they can hide, and if they're on site, they're probably dead. In terms of B, how you would want to do it is just wall front sight, and this works really well with Gecko, especially since Gecko is new. You just wall front sight. You don't even have to worry about any of the links or connectors. You just send your boy to go plant this corner or something like that. You just have one person like holding the wall like this, and they won't have to worry about anyone killing the wingman. Wingman plants, and then you guys can play your retake. And now you have 3 stars to play with, which means you have 4 stars to play with. Pull, a stun, and then 2 smokes, however you want to use it. You can use the 1v1 twice if you want. So that's really strong for B. Now in terms of A, that's probably the easiest one. You guys probably already know this one. You just probably wall off like this, and it walls off heaven. Careful though, if you're scaling up with this, it does leave someone that could be hell. Yeah, if you throw this up, you don't have to worry about anything unless there's just a guy literally just chilling here. This could be the one awkward play, which is someone just chilling in hell. But if you clear hell first, or you get onto site and then you throw the wall, then it might be a little bit safer. Let's talk a little bit about playstyle. Generally, on every map, if you find rushing doesn't work, and it doesn't work 90% of the time, use smokes or fake pulls to take space toward A. A is the easiest place to take space toward, minus like technically grass and garage. Those are like the next 4 areas. So it's garage, mid, and then we got sewer, and then long. This is the easiest place to take space. A specifically usually works really well because it pulls people toward the site. You can take grass, you can take a Raj, but like people just sit on site and sit outside of Link and just watch it and contain it. And B, people play retake B anyway. Toward A, if you're in sewer and you're long, it forces rotates over, which is why taking A control is so good. You can throw a deep smoke if you really want to, but I generally think it's a little overkill. If you're really worried about it, it's fine. You're just gonna have to play a little bit more slow as you wait for your star to come off cooldown so they can smoke twice on site. And then in terms of short, I would work toward this while having one or two like lurking. You can even like not go A and have your teammates just work it. And you just hold for the extremities, hold for a garage push, hold for a window push, or hold for a C push. And then you guys can work it as you take the space. You can hear if people are rotating from B over or over from C. It'll make C weaker, make B weaker, and then yeah, you can decide to do that. Or you can cut noise at A, like you take sewer control, you get up to here. You can take long control, you get up to here. And you cut noise, make no sound. They'll rotate back because they'll be like, oh no, wait, they could have gone C now. They might be faking. Then they'll leave, and then you can retake the site. That's really strong. Those are kind of two very general strats. If you're playing B, it's usually a very like post plant heavy one. If you're playing C, it's either explosive or post plant. Those are the kind of options. Base it on the ults. If the enemy is running an Astra and they have Astra wall, then make sure you're not just like playing post plant because it's just gonna lose you the round. Defensive ults, generally, it's just to play post plant. That is probably the best way to do it. You can use it to just wall off the bomb, but in terms of how you want to wall off like defense, it's just this. This is like pretty normal. B is also the same, it's just that normal. C is also like this. You could technically wall like this as well. This one that just cuts all off sight, but this is a little bit more awkward because it's harder to defend. And why I say harder to defend is because there's gaps in your defense if you wall like just this way. So basically, one person cannot hold everything because of the elevation. Normally, you want to just like hug a wall, hold the line, so anyone that runs past will just get shot. In this case, you can't do that since you have boxes and elevation blocking you. So sometimes it's just simpler to do this. If you're like flooding onto site and everyone's coming out of spawn, like everyone is coming out of spawn, then I would recommend throwing this wall. So you don't even need to worry about garage. But you always want to worry about reflanks because they'll just walk up window or something like that. Those are kind of things you want to worry about. Defensive playstyle, jiggle peak, depending on what's going on, you decide when you rotate. Indications for rotating are significant players being toward one side. If it's spot 4, it's an instant rotation. If it's spot 3, it's a probably also like pretty fast. Like I would knife out and probably go B. Basically, you want to shift the rotations. You want to think of everyone shifting over one because it's the most efficient way. Your A player is obviously going to stay A if they're hitting. Your B players are going to go A. You're going to go cover B. And then C is going to be open because you saw a significant amount of players A. You're assuming it's not going to be C. Next thing you can do is you can take C long control sometimes. It's just because that people don't value C as much. That's just because it's like very risky for the defenders to push up because there's just one lane. But sometimes because of this, you can get like into really good spots. Like if you ever get into this spot right here, push up, you can tell all your teammates leave C. Just don't even bother. You don't even need to watch garage. Just make sure that they can't loop through garage window to E, and that's it. After that, you're good because C, you will be in a strong spot for a retake, just killing anyone. You can hear them all the way up to here when they're coming to C. You can call that for your teammates, and you probably get one, maybe even two holding this down. You have like super early calls here, and they could rotate over in time. You can also play toward B, but it's more of a spotting role. So if you're playing toward B, you're probably just playing toward one of the links, and you're just spotting to see if anyone's here. You don't really want to dedicate because your util is pretty strong for retake. And then in terms of A, we already kind of went over it. You play backside or you play in one of the corners. So this is the final thing I'm gonna say. For low elos, for those who say that they're in low elo, this is all you have to do. One star. All right, pre-place this one. Also, this was a tip. If you pre-place this star in the beginning of the round, literally fly over, pre-place the star in the beginning of the round, you'll avoid issues like that. Because Haven is one of those maps since it's so big, and you're generally like, if I'm looking towards C, I'm looking at it sideways, right? So I'll have a lot of these elevation issues with placing stars. Do it at the beginning of the round. So I'll usually do one here, one there, and then that way I have smokes on opposite sides and I'll flex two. And then after that, you're just gonna find out which side they're playing at. Make sure that if they're hitting A, 2 smokes, 1, 2, and then you have it pull for there. You can also switch it up for here. And then for C, I mean, it's even easier. You just toss a star there. All you need to do, because in low elo, jets don't dash out onto site. In low elo, they just all run through the choke point. Your whole goal to get out of low elo is smoke, and you have them run onto your pole. You will get out of low elo with just those two. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Smoke, pull, smoke, and then pull. You don't even need to wait for it to pop. They're just like freaking out. They're like in a pull, like, oh, I'm so dead. And then just don't miss. All right, those 3 steps. Smoke, pull, don't miss.